Okay, let's talk about derivatives. Derivatives are used to find the instantaneous rate of change at a point of a function. So there's a lot of rules that you're going to have to learn in order to apply derivatives or to derive functions. And the first one that is probably the most popular and the one you'll use most often is called the power rule. And the power rule looks something like this. It says that if you want to take the derivative, and this is the symbol here that we're going to use, d over dx of x to the exponent n. So this symbol here on the front, or these symbols, d over dx, implies that we're taking the derivative of this thing. And you can kind of think of it like the derivative gives you the rate of change, the slope, and if you remember, the slope is the change in y over change in x, the change of our function as x changes, right? You can think of it in that way if you'd like. So we're taking the derivative of x to the exponent n, where n can be any number. And I'll show you an example for all these rules just to kind of clear up what I'm talking about. So if you want to find the derivative of x to the exponent n, what you do is you take that value of n, whatever number it is, and you put it on the front of your function. So you have n multiplied by x, and the exponent that you had, n, is going to shrink by a value of 1. So instead of an exponent n, you have the exponent n minus 1. So that's kind of a lot to digest. Let me show you an example, and I think it'll become much more clear. So let's say we have something like x to the exponent 3, and you want to find the derivative of this. So we're going to take the derivative of x to the exponent 3. What that gives you is, okay, you follow this pattern. You bring that exponent 3 to the front, and you get 3 multiplied by x. That exponent reduces by 1, so it becomes a 2. So the derivative of x to the 3 is equal to 3x squared. Another notation that you might see, f at x is equal to x cubed, right? So this is the original function. You could be asked, find the derivative of this function. So find f prime at x. So you might see this little, it looks like an exponent 1. It's more of an apostrophe symbol, but we call that f prime at x. And what this means is that the function has been derived already. We've already taken the derivative. And so if f of x equals x cubed, we would say f prime at x, the derivative, is equal to 3x squared. So a different type of notation that you could see. On occasion, I'll also see something like this, y equals x cubed. And when you take the derivative, you can say y prime is equal to 3x squared. I see that one, that one is a little more informal. You might instead say dy over dx is equal to 3x squared. But these are all different things that you could see. Let's do another example though. Personally, I like to work with the f of x and f prime x. So let's say that f of x is equal to 2x to the 4. Well, we follow the same pattern if we want to find f prime of x, the derivative. We don't worry about the coefficient on the front. The coefficient can stay there. We're going to take the 4 and we're going to multiply it or move it to the front. In this case, that means we multiply it by 2. So that means we're going to have 8 times x, and that 4 is going to reduce by 1 to become a 3. If you want to show an intermediate step where you bring down the 4 and it becomes 4 times 2 times x to the 3, you can do that and then multiply these together to get 8, but there's no harm in doing it directly. Okay, let's try another one. Let's say you have x to the 5 plus 3x squared. Okay, now I have a couple of terms, right? Well, if you have separate terms separated by addition or subtraction, you can simply apply the power rule to each term individually. You can move down this 5, so you get 5x to the 4. And really, I should denote what we're doing here. This is f of x. This is f prime of x. right? These are different things. This first equation is the original function. The second one down here is the derivative of f of x. So you get 5x to the 4 plus, and then you use the power rule on the second term as well. 2 times 3 is 6. X to the exponent, that 2 reduces by 1, so it becomes 1, but you don't have to write an exponent 1, of course. So you can leave your answer like that. We'll do one more example. Let's say we have the function f of x is equal to 1/2 x squared minus 3x to the 4 plus 5. And now we're going to find the derivative f prime of x. Well, let's take that 2. We'll move it to the front. What happens when you do 2 times a half? Well, 2 times a half is just 1. So you don't have to write the coefficient. You can simply leave this as x. And when that exponent reduces by 1, it becomes 1. Of course, you don't have to write that either. So the first value turns into just x. The second term, 4 times negative 3, that's going to become negative 12 x to the 3. And then you have plus 5. Well, what happens to the plus 5? Well, keep in mind, this plus 5 really had an x to the exponent 0 next to it, right? Because x to the 0 is equal to 1, and it's 5 times 1. Well, what happens when you do 0 times 5? You bring that 0 to the front. Well, then this term becomes a 0. And if you have 0x, or 0 times anything, you're going to get 0, right? So we can simply say that this last term turns into a 0. So if you ever take the derivative of a constant, if you ever take the derivative of just a number with no x next to it, with no variable, then it's simply going to turn into a 0. It will disappear, and you don't have to write that. So your final answer would just be this. Now keep in mind, these rules are only going to work so far as you have the variable x and you're taking the derivative in terms of x, right? If we have multiple variables in here, it's going to cause issues. We're not going to be able to use these exact rules. We're talking about something different in that case. So keep in mind, we're taking the derivative in terms of x, and we're only applying these rules to terms that have an x in them, and only x, no other variables for now. But of course, it doesn't have to be an x, right? You could have an example, something like f of a is equal to a squared plus 2a to the 5. You could take the derivative of that in terms of a, and you can apply the same rules. 2a plus 10a to the 4. Hopefully at this point the pattern is clear. The more you practice questions like this, the easier it will get. So just to reiterate, if you take the derivative of a variable to an exponent, and that exponent has to be a number, right? You take the derivative of this, what you're going to get is that exponent, that number, multiplied by the variable, the base, to the exponent of 1 less than the original. So if you decide to take the derivative of x to the exponent 5, the answer you're going to get will be 5 times x to the 4. It may look more complicated than it is, but I assure you the more practice you do, it's going to get a lot easier. That is the first derivative rule, and in the next few videos we're going to look at the rest of those rules. Now in the last video, we did an example where we used the difference quotient to figure out what the instantaneous rate of change would be at a particular point. The function was f of x equals x squared, and we were interested in finding the slope at the point x is equal to 3. And we did so using the difference quotient. Go watch that video first if you haven't yet. But we're now going to be able to use the power rule to figure this out. So we can find the derivative of this function. It becomes 2x, right? You bring the 2 to the front, the exponent reduces by 1, becomes 1. And now we have an equation that represents all the different instantaneous rates of change along the curve for the original function. What this means is that if I plug in the value of 3 for x, because that's where we're looking for the instantaneous rate of change, you get 2 times 3, which is equal to 6. Meaning that for this equation, at the point x equals 3, you're going to have a slope of 6, an instantaneous rate of change of 6. Okay, that's the slope of the tangent line to that point. And that's the exact same answer that we got in the last video when we used the difference quotient. So once you learn how to do derivatives, you're not going to really need the difference quotient a whole lot in order to figure out instantaneous rates of change at different positions on your graph, because you can just take the derivative instead, and it's a lot quicker most of the time.